Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Monday edition of Vuka Nazo here on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. My name is Sikhle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us here on the show, super easy. Find us on our website at www.bigdaddyliberty.com. There, of course, if you scroll to the bottom of the website, you can pledge some support towards the show. From as little as 100 Rand to 150 Rand a month is more than enough to keep us going here, hiring the editors and hopefully the journos who'll do some work here on the show. With that being said, how about we get straight into the news? All right, we begin in KwaZulu-Natal now, where another councillor, yes, another councillor has been gunned down. The political killings in this province are absolutely at shocking levels and are the kind of thing that are a put-off when it comes to how we relate to our elected public representatives. These are people who are elected to talk, use their words to articulate our issues that we face in society, not to gun each other down as they vie for power or whatever the motives may be for the murder of politicians in this province. The councillor in question murdered this week in KwaMaphumulo, that's on the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal. In that part of the world, of course, we're talking about Councillor Zakhele Kuzwayo, who was gunned down. And of course, the police are investigating this matter. Insofar as the write-up that I saw in News 24, the ANC was quoted as having said the following. The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has called for an urgent probe, of course, into the political killings in the province following the murder of the local municipality of KwaMaphumulo's councillor, Zakhele Kuzwayo. The party said it had received, quote, shocking information detailing what are the circumstances that could have led to the murder, close quote, which is obviously now under investigation by the KwaZulu-Natal police, end of quote. Of course, I repeat what I've always said on the show, and I repeat it now in the context of this particular councillor's murder. This councillor, of course, who belonged to the ANC. Now, here's what I always say. It's irrelevant as to which political party, this is happening to. These killings should not be happening. It is doubly problematic that a police minister, an asshat of a police minister who comes from the ANC, would allow a situation like this to happen. Again, I'm not suggesting he should take political preference simply because the councillor came from the ANC, no, but rather that at least he should be doubling his efforts now that councillors, politicians, fellow politicians, as he is one too, are being gunned down. It's completely unacceptable that these individuals are being murdered. And again, it's not just a case of the privilege of politicians, it is unacceptable, period, that South Africa has the sort of murder rates that it has in this country, especially when one considers that this is another councillor murdered just after Umnqobi Melefe. Another councillor was killed on Monday this week. That's a Ward 99 councillor here in eThekwini. So these political killings have to stop, and the Minister of Police in particular needs to be someone who's held to account by his own party members, especially when you have a situation where members from the ANC, and again, I must repeat, it's irrelevant as to which party, but I'm just making the simple point that the very fact that it's now an ANC member being shot and this asshat of a minister is still not doing anything about it is doubly concerning. All lives matter, and in particular, we should see a police minister or a police in this country that takes investigating and prosecuting murderers seriously. All right, we stick to KZN now as I take you further up the north coast, now to the town of, or city of Richards Bay. Now, there's one famous school in that part of the world with a relatively long history, English medium school of John Ross. That's the John Ross College, of course, in that part of the world, making the news for all the wrong reasons. Now, here on the Big Daddy Liberty Show's Vuka Nazo, we've spoken about the decay of discipline of school children in schools, where some of the worst behavior, indeed some criminal behavior that tracks what happens in the rest of society, is filtering down into schools. Schools becoming the safe havens of criminally minded kids, unfortunately, and kids who are just simply ill-disciplined, often begging the question, where are the parents? Why are we expecting teachers, who are actually just the heads and at the head, of educational institutions. Why are we expecting them to discipline the behavior of what parents should be doing? John Ross, therefore, as I said, making the news for all the wrong reasons, as Janine King, the principal of that school, writing a scathing letter admonishing the behavior of what is effectively the grades 8 and 9s and the 11s and 12s for various reasons, and often citing that it's often repeat offenders in this particular case. Let me just quickly read from this, of course, as was the story appeared in the Independent News Group. Janine King, of course, the principal of the school, saying that the pupils in grades 10 and 11 have also been problematic, many of them bunking classes, citing, of course, that the grade 8s and 9s experiencing added discipline problems, especially with those pupils, as I said, in grades 8 and 9. She's quoted as saying, in a desperate attempt to rein the children in, King addressed a stern letter to parents informing them of their children's misdemeanors and asking for their assistance in disciplining the children. She's quoted as saying, "I've been a teacher for 38 years now, and I'm alarmed at how some children behave and speak to children. It has to stop," says the principal. "That is why I'm writing to you now. All my HODs teach and do discipline, and they are overwhelmed. Telling us you can't control your child at home is your responsibility." There's a bit of a grammar error there. End of quote. And she's absolutely right in citing where the area of responsibility lies. It's with you, the parent. The parent should be the alpha and the omega of coming to the issue of disciplining children. The expectation that teachers should be doing this is simply unfounded. And let me show you what happens when parents don't play their role. Yes, that is exactly what the logical conclusion of parents not playing their role in disciplining children looks like, where schools become war zones, schools become the places where not learning happens, but instead effectively ill discipline and the breakdown of not only law and order, but pure decency begins to happen. Parents, play a role and discipline your children. All right, now I take you to Parliament, where Deputy President David Mabuza, the cat, as he goes by his nickname, basically in a question and answer session that is, confirmed that since the year 2019, 4,000 illegal miners, that's the Zama-Zama illegal miners, those violent gangs that operate in mine shafts, or abandoned mine shafts across the country. Since the 2019 year, 4,000 of those illegal miners have been arrested. Now, here's the thing. You listen to a number like that and you think, oh, great, some headway is being made in that regard. Indeed, Mabuza, in that same answer and question session, citing the government was prioritizing the issue, he says, and the police had set up a task force. Mabuza himself, speaking in Parliament, had this to say.
At a briefing by the Ministers of Police, Home Affairs, Mineral Resources and Energy, the NCOP was appraised that a special task team was established by the South African Police Service in 2019 to tackle the phenomenon of illegal mining. To date, the police have confirmed the arrest of more than 4,675 illegal miners in this regard.
Right, as I said, it's all fine and well for the state to cite that it's set up a special task force or the police have done X, Y, and Z. Here's the problem. All of those efforts will come to naught if you do not address the porous borders in this country that see these illegal miners, a lot of whom I should rather say, are illegal immigrants. The Zama-Zama is often cited as being gangs from Lesotho in particular. Indeed, they self-style themselves in Lesotho national regalia, such as the blankets, for example. But in any event, the point being, for as long as our borders are as porous as they are, for as long as South Africa spends as little as it does in securing the borders meaningfully, then the fight against illegal mining in this country, insofar as it involves those illegal immigrants, is going to come to not. So a holistic approach is required, is needed in beginning to address this. And number one is definitely tightening up our border security and immigration in this country. And secondly, as I've always said, a massive reform required on the policing in this country, where we return again the sort of specialized units that were dismantled by the same ANC government a few years ago, and a dedicated, if you will, channel or system, if you will, from law enforcement policing to the judiciary that finds them guilty of course, after a successful prosecution, and the deportation in particular of these individuals, so that they do not come back into this country to cause a mess. And again, this is not me saying there aren't any local South Africans who engage in illegal mining. Where they are concerned too, they too will find themselves in this revamped and refreshed, if you will, criminal justice system behind bars. That is where Zama-Zamas should be, not being vacillated and treated like the untouchables that they currently are. All right, that's it for today's episode, the Monday edition of Vuka Nazo here on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. Do me a solid favor, if you want to get in touch with us, all of our social media details are in the descriptor of this page, and our website is www.bigdaddyliberty.com. Make sure, of course, that you, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, please, to the channel. Help me grow my numbers, and of course, hit that bell notification so that every weekday from 7 a.m. you're notified when Vuka Nazo is on your screens. Happy Monday. Enjoy your day. I'll see you tomorrow.